So, class, welcome to the lecture number 33. Lecture number 33 of the course, Basic Electrical Engineering. So, in the lecture number 32, I told you about the losses, means what are the ice copper losses and what are the core losses in a transformer. I told you the copper losses, it depends. It is nothing because of the resistance of the primary and the secondary winding of the transformer. And these second losses, core losses, they are nothing but the eddy current and the hysteresis losses. So I told you to matlab these eddy currents, they are nothing but the circular currents that move in a circular manner on a surface, means they are because of the surface. These currents are due to the surface charge distribution. So for reducing the eddy current losses, I told you that we use laminations because we reduce the surface area. Further, I told you about the hysteresis losses because you saw the hysteresis loop BH curve. Okay, so we have hysteresis losses in the core as well. So in any system, if we have more losses, means the output will be reduced. So in this lecture, I will discuss about the transformer efficiency, transformer voltage regulation, transformer equivalent circuit. Let me write one by one. So I will talk about the transformer efficiency, efficiency is noted by this sign eta. Okay. Second, voltage regulation, denoted by VR. Okay. And third, about the equivalent circuit of transformer. Okay, first I will talk about the transformer efficiency. Okay, so what is efficiency? You all must have read it in your physics, in your 11th 12th class. So suppose we have any system is there, and we are suppose I have a system here, any system, and I am giving some input to this system. Okay, and I am getting from here, I am getting some output. Okay, so in this system we will have some losses. Okay, so I am saying that this input to the system is going to the system, and there are some losses in the system, and we are getting output. Obviously output will be less than input depending upon the losses, how much losses is there. Okay, our output depends upon losses. So if losses are more, output is less. Okay, if losses are less, output is more. So in other word, I can say efficiency is nothing but the output by input. Okay, so in case of a transformer, what is the input to the transformer? It is the power, and the output of a transformer is also power. Okay, though the powers which we obtain in transformer, they are at different voltage levels. So suppose I am saying, this is just an example. Okay, this is just an example, this case now. So here my system is transformer. Okay, here I am saying my system is a transformer, and I am giving some input power to the transformer at some voltage level, and I am getting output power from the transformer at some different voltage level. Okay, so I am saying there's obviously there are some losses in the transformer because we have transformer winding are made of conducting material which has some resistance. Okay, apart from that, we have some losses in the core. Okay, eddy current and hysteresis losses. So definitely output will be lesser than the input. Okay, and the efficiency is nothing but the ratio of output by input. So I am saying, suppose the input power to transformer is P in, and output power of transformer is P out. Okay, so then I am saying then efficiency is the ratio of output power to input power. Got it? I'm saying efficiency is nothing but the ratio of output power to, I'm saying that efficiency is nothing but the ratio of output power to input power. Got it? So I can write that is efficiency is nothing but output power divided by input power, output power of transformer divided by input power of transformer. Okay. But we also know that input power, which is I can represent by P out, out divided by P in. It is P out divided by P in. So we know that P input power to the transformer, it is nothing but the output power plus losses. Okay. So losses, in losses we have two categories. First we have copper loss and second we have core loss, PCO, core. Now this core loss, it further has two types, that is eddy current loss and hysteresis loss. Okay, so overall if I can see that P input is nothing but P output plus copper loss plus eddy current loss plus hysteresis loss. This is PHY, hysteresis. So I can write that efficiency is nothing but output power plus, no, I will represent input power in terms of output power plus losses. It is P out plus P copper loss plus P eddy current loss plus P hysteresis loss. Okay, so if you can see, if we are reducing the denominator, look here, what we are doing, if the losses are reduced, I am saying P input is equal to P output plus losses. If we are reducing the losses, input is fixed, obviously output will increase. Okay, suppose input I am saying it is 100 and output is 80 and losses are 20. Now what I am doing, I am reducing the losses. Now instead of losses we are getting 20, we are getting losses as 10. Okay, input is 100. So what will happen to output? Output will be increased by 10, it will be 90. Okay, what I am saying here, I am saying that P input is equal to P output plus losses. So first case I am saying input is fixed 100, output is 80, losses are 20. Okay, 80 plus 20 is equal to 100. In the second case, I am saying that I am reducing the loss so that loss is 10 only and 100, input is still 100 fixed. So what will happen to the output? Output will increase 90. So 90 plus 10 again 100. So what I am trying to say, I am trying to say that if we are reducing the losses, okay, what will happen to the efficiency? The efficiency will increase. Okay, and obviously the efficiency, what I am saying lesser the losses, more will be the efficiency. Okay, so more will be the efficiency, and you know that this transformer, I told you transformer is a static device. It does not have any moving part. Okay, so because if it does not have any moving point, there will be no loss in this that is taking place in this frictional, there will be no frictional losses. Okay, and moreover, if this in the one is rotating parts, it creates sound, more sound. Okay, static equipment, it creates less sound, and rotating equipment, it creates more sound. Also sound losses are there more in rotating machines and less in the static machines. So obviously because of these factors, the efficiency of the static machines will be high. So that's why I'm saying that efficiency of transformers are high because they are static devices. Okay, so this is so what is our aim? Our aim is that the efficiency should be as high as possible, but efficiency cannot be more than unity. It cannot be more than unity. It cannot be more than 1, means it cannot be more than, it cannot be 100. It cannot be more than unity, not it cannot be equal to unity. It cannot be equal to unity. I'm saying efficiency cannot be equal to unity, means efficiency cannot be 100%. The purpose of the line is that if efficiency is equal to unity, means neta is equal to output by input. Okay, if it is equal to unity 1, means output and input both are equal. So is there any perfect system in which we don't have any losses? Transformers? No, there is no system in which we don't have any losses. And any practical system, it will definitely have some losses. So I am saying that efficiency cannot be equal to unity or 100%, because we cannot make output equal to input, because for making output equal to input, losses should be made equal to 0, which is not possible. Efficiency cannot be equal to unity because losses cannot be made equal to 0. Okay, losses cannot be made equal to 0. So in we say that efficiency will be always less than unity. It cannot be equal to unity under any case. Got it? So first page, second page, third page. So I will talk about the voltage regulation. Voltage regulation, it is noted by VR. What do you mean by voltage regulation? So look, it is regulation. Regulation means we have to regulate something, and voltage regulation means what is a change in voltage. So basically, let me take another page because I need more space. Page number 3rd, lecture number 33. I am saying, suppose that I have a transformer here. Okay, this is my transformer. It has some windings here on the primary side and some windings here on the secondary side. Okay, the primary is connected to a constant frequency, constant voltage source. Okay, and because of that, some current I1 is flowing in the primary winding, and this current is setting up because of this current MMF is set up in the winding, and it will produce a magnetic field in this magnetic material, and this magnetic flux will flow in this direction. Some of the magnetic flux will flow here as well in this direction. And here I am saying, here we have the load. Here I am saying these are the load terminals. I am saying this is V2 and this is I2. Now here we have load, like here I have load Z1. So I'm using a switch here. Then I have load here Z2. Then again switch, and I have a load here Zn. Okay, look what I am doing. I am using switches here, means I will switch as I will switch on these now. I will turn the switch on, more and more load will be connected to the circuit, and moreover loads are connected in parallel. Okay, here you can see that these loads are connected in parallel, means if I will increase the load, what will happen? More current will flow, because the impedances are connected in parallel. So impedances will decrease, so more current will flow. Okay. What I am trying to say, you must have seen at your homes, you have a transformer at your home simply. So if there is no load connected to the transformer and input voltage is fixed, you will get some voltage across the output. Okay, V2 suppose. Now what you do, you increase the load. You first turn on one blower, okay, or electric kettle. You see there is slight decrease in the output voltage. V2 decreases slightly. Okay. So you further increase the load, what will happen? V2 will further decrease. Okay. However, the sending end voltage V1, it is constant, which is 220 if you have a household transformers. Though in Srinagar or Kashmir, you have a voltage around 180 volts. So the input is constant, and as you keep on increasing the load, what will happen? The load current I2 will increase. Because of that, the voltage across the output V2, it will decrease. So as you will keep on increasing the load, the voltage will keep on decreasing. It is because you know that as you increase the load, Okay, you keep on increasing the load, means loads are connected in parallel, so impedance will decrease. If the impedance will decrease, the current will increase. So because of this increase in current, these windings, they have some resistances. So if the current is increasing, what will happen? The drop in these windings, it will be more, because the resistance of the winding is fixed and you are increasing the current. I am saying resistance is fixed and you are increasing the current I. What will happen? The drop in the windings IR, it will increase, because I is increasing, so the drop in the windings V, it will also increase. Okay, so as the drop in this winding is increasing, what will happen? You will get a reduced voltage across the output. Okay, so what is voltage regulation? Voltage regulation is nothing but the change in the voltage regulation is nothing but change in the output voltage. Output voltage means receiving end voltage, change in the output voltage, receiving end voltage from no load to full load. From no load means when there is no load across the secondary, though the primary is connected to the supply, but no load means no load is connected across the secondary, means secondary is open circuited. Okay, so at that time you will get voltage. So as you will keep on increasing the load, the secondary voltage will start decreasing. Okay, so you will keep on increasing the load up to its full load capacity, up to the transformer's full load capacity, and you will see what is the voltage at full load. Then you will see what is the change in the output voltage from no load to full load. Okay, so but while doing this, you make sure that the primary side or the input voltage remains constant, keeping the sending end voltage, sending end or input, keeping the sending end voltage constant. Constant means it should be fixed. Okay, so I am saying if no load voltage, V no load, means I am using a switch here as well. Okay, I am using a switch here as well. So when there is no load, means all the switches are open, so there will be no load connected to the system. At that time I am saying there will be voltage across this terminal. It is, I am representing by VNL. VNL means no load voltage. Then I will keep on increasing the load and I will keep on monitoring the voltage across these terminals. So it will keep on decreasing. So up to a point when full load current is flowing, this full load means full I2 is flowing up to its rated value, means full load current is flowing. That at that time I am saying the voltage is V full load. Full load voltage. Full load means voltage means the voltage across these two terminals when full load current is flowing in the secondary terminal. Okay, so it is giving me full load. So what is voltage regulation? Voltage regulation is nothing but V no load minus V full load. So it is a change in the voltage from no load to full load. It is voltage regulation divided by V no load. So we are calculating the voltage regulation in terms of the no load condition. Okay, so tell me, if we have a transformer whose output voltage is changing through a wide range with the increase in load, from no load to full load, we are increasing the load, and we are saying that the voltage is changing through a wide range. So at that time we will say that the word transformer, it is not considered as a good transformer. Okay, so we should construct a transformer in such a way that the change in the voltage regulation from no load to full load, it should be minimum. Okay, suppose we are using load Z1 and we are saying, okay, we are getting the required voltage 220 volt across these terminals. Okay, now I am using load Z1 plus Z2. I am increasing the load. What is happening? I am saying if I am increasing the load, the V2 has dropped from 220 to 200 volts. However, the rating of these equipments at which they operate, voltage rating is 220 volts. So these equipments will not get the their rated voltage. Okay, so which is an undesirable operation. So what we do, we are saying that so I can say that voltage regulation means change in voltage should be very small. So voltage regulation should be small. That voltage regulation, if voltage regulation is small, it will show means how well this transformer is maintaining the secondary voltage or its output voltage. So I can say that the voltage regulation shows how well a transformer can maintain, how well a transformer can maintain its output voltage at constant value. Okay, at constant value, but for a fixed input voltage. So for a fixed input voltage means while increasing the load, you should note that the input voltage, it should not change, it should remain fixed. And you will see how much V2 is changing with respect to with the increase in load. Okay, V1 should be fixed, and with the increase in load, we will see how much this V2 will change. Okay, so with the for a fixed input voltage, when load is varied, कहाँ से कहाँ तक, from no load to full load. Okay, so if I'm saying if the change in the voltage V2 from no load to full load is very small, then voltage regulation is small, and small voltage regulation means that the transformer operation or the transformer operates satisfactorily. Okay, so I am saying lower the voltage regulation means, I am saying lower the voltage or lower voltage regulation means, lower voltage regulation means that output voltage means that means output voltage changes slightly with change in load. Okay, so I am saying that if voltage regulation is small, it means that the output voltage is changing slightly when the load changes from no load to full load. And if this voltage regulation, it tells us how well or how good the transformer can maintain its voltage, output voltage at a constant value when the input voltage is kept at a fixed value and the load is varied from its no load or zero load to its full load. Full load means to its rated load. Okay, so I think that is all about this voltage regulation and efficiency. So next I will start this transformer equivalent circuit. Page number 1, 2 are done. Page number 3 here. No, page number 4. Okay, page number 4, lecture 33. So I am talking about transformer equivalent circuit. Transformer equivalent circuit. Okay. First, let me draw the diagram of a transformer, and then I will come to its equivalent circuit. Okay. So first I will draw the core. So this is my core. So please draw these diagrams now simultaneously while you watch these videos. Okay, this is my core, and these are my winding. This is my primary winding. I am connected it to some AC source V1 with fixed frequency, and some current I1 is flowing I1 is flowing through the primary winding, and this primary winding has N1 number of turns. Now because of this current flow in the primary winding, a flux is set up that follows this magnetic path, and it passes through the secondary winding as well. And if the circuit is closed, some current I2 will flow in the secondary circuit, and suppose I am saying ZL is my load impedance that I have connected across the output, and the voltage here is V2. Got it? So this is the ideal case where there is no leakage flux, but I am telling actually nothing is ideal. So because of that we will have some leakage flux in the system. Okay, so this is a path of the leakage flux. So this is the basically representation of a transformer on a page, okay, where we show the winding transformer or other things. So now let us draw the electrical circuit of the transformer. This is not the electrical circuit, this is a diagram, transformer diagram. Now let us draw the electrical circuit of the transformer. So basically the transformer is represented like this. I will draw it here. So I have these two lines, they will represent the core. Okay, so I have some one coil here, another coil here. Okay, I'm showing it like that. So this up to this is the ideal transformer. Okay, if I'm drawing this is the ideal transformer. However, our system is a non-ideal system because there are losses occurring in the system. So what we do, firstly I will complete the secondary circuit. This is a primary circuit and this is a secondary circuit. So this is a coil. Okay, this coil will have some reactance and some resistance. Okay, so I will draw the reactance here and the resistance here, then I have the load here. Okay, so I'm saying this is my load, this is my resistance R2, and this is my reactance JX2, and this is N2 number of turns. Okay, so here the voltage is V2 across the load, V2, and the current that is flowing in this circuit is I2. Okay, this is the secondary circuit. Now let us draw the primary circuit as well. So in the secondary we have a winding in the primary circuit as well, and this winding will definitely have some resistance and some reactance. So this reactance comprises of two reactance. Number one, the reactance of the coil, okay, because each coil has some reactance, plus the reactance due to the leakage flux that is occurring in the system. Okay, the reactance due to the leakage flux. So that reactance is shown by here X1, JX1 in the primary, similarly in the secondary, and the resistance of this winding is represented by R1. R1 means primary, 1 means primary, 2 means secondary, and I have a source here. Okay, an AC source here. Got it? So here again some current I1 is flowing. Okay, this is my V1. Now tell me, we have drawn the circuit. Okay, but there are something else in the system which we have not drawn. Like we say that some flux is set up in the magnetizing circuit. So how can you show that flux? So and we also say that in the core some losses are taking place which are hysteresis and eddy current losses. So we have two components here. One is the magnetizing component, because we have to show the flux that is generated in the core, and second is the loss component, core loss component. This R1 and R2, they are reacting the copper loss. Okay, however the core loss, it is represented by it will have two components. Number one, will have two components. Number one, magnetizing component. Okay, number second, the loss component, hysteresis and eddy current loss. So here I will draw that. Okay, like this. So this I am saying this is R0. I have an inductor and a resistor. So resistor always represents loss. Okay, because we say resistor always dissipates power, it consumes power. So I am saying the core loss is represented by resistor R0, and the magnetizing part of this circuit, it is represented by the reactance JXM. Okay, and the current that is flowing through this, it is called as I0. Okay, so I told you earlier that because of the changing flux, some voltage will be induced in these turns, which I called as E1. Okay, so what is E1? E1 is the voltage across these terminals, means E1 is the voltage here between these two terminals. Between these two terminals, we have the voltage E1. Okay, between these two terminals, we have the voltage E1. Got it? So I am saying this, these have secondary has N2 turns and the primary has N1 turns. Okay, so this is the electrical circuit of a transformer. Got it? Now we have secondary reactance, secondary resistance, load, secondary current, secondary voltage, secondary turns. Primary, we have source, primary current, primary resistance, primary reactance, primary turns. Plus for the core we have two components. One is the loss component, which represents the eddy current and hysteresis loss or not, and the magnetizing current XM, which sets up the magnetic field in the circuit, in the magnetic circuit. Okay, and I am saying that the voltage here, it is E1, and which is represented as E1 here. Now tell me, can you electrically analyze this circuit? It is difficult. Why? Because there is isolation between the primary and the secondary circuit. They are magnetically coupled, they are not electrically coupled, so you cannot analyze this circuit electrically. So how to remove this? What is the solution? One solution is that we take the advantage of this N1 and N2 turns ratio. Okay, so what we do, we can either refer this circuit, secondary circuit, to the primary side, or another thing is that we can refer the primary circuit to the secondary side. Why? Because how can we electrically solve this circuit? We don't know what is the drop between the primary and the secondary winding in advance. We don't know what is the drop between the primary and the secondary winding. It is because of the isolation between the primary and the secondary winding. Okay, that we don't know the drop between them. So what we do to solve that, to overcome that difficulty, we will either refer the secondary circuit to the primary, or we refer the primary circuit to the secondary by taking the advantage of these turns ratio. Okay, so these circuit are called as referred circuit. Referred circuits. Referred circuits means either refer secondary to primary or refer primary to secondary. Okay, got it? So I will draw both the circuits one by one, and then I will solve one problem for that as well. So remember, this is N1 and this is N2, and remember this R1 X1, R0 XM, X2 R2, and this is the load V2 I2, V1 I1, and this is E1. Okay, so what I will do now, I will draw the equivalent circuit, and when referred circuits, when we will refer secondary to primary or primary to secondary, they are called referred equivalent circuit. Okay, now first let me draw the equivalent circuit. Referred to primary. Equivalent circuit referred to primary. So equivalent circuit referred to primary means we are referring some circuit to primary. So what we are doing, equivalent circuit referred to primary means secondary circuit is referred to primary side. Okay, secondary circuit is referred to primary side. So if secondary circuit is referred to primary side, what will happen? The primary circuit will remain as it is. So let me draw it here. So this is my primary circuit. So primary resistance R1, primary reactance X1, this is R0, this is XM, JXM. Okay, this is I0, this is V1. Okay, so this is my primary circuit. Now if I am referring this secondary circuit to primary, this component in the circuit, it will vanish. So it will become like this. Now we have the secondary reactance, secondary resistance, and secondary load. So I will represent secondary load here. The secondary load is ZL. So when these quantities are referred to the primary side, they are represented by dash. So ZL will be represented by ZL dash, R2 will be represented by R2 dash, X2 will be represented by X2 dash. Okay, and the current that is flowing in this circuit, it was I2. Here I am showing this was I2. It will be represented as I2 dash, and the voltage here, it was V2. It will be referred as V2 dash. Okay. So now I am saying these circuits, secondary circuit is referred to primary. Okay. So because of this, we are using the sign dash. Okay. And we are showing the direct electrical connection between them. So what will be the ZL dash in terms of ZL? Okay. So ZL dash will be nothing. It will be given N1 by N2 whole square ZL. It is N1 by N2 whole square ZL. What is R2 dash? It will be N1 by N2 whole square R2. And what will be this X2 dash? It will be J N1 by N2 whole square X2. Are you getting it? I2 dash will be nothing but, here the current, in case of current, it will be opposite. It was N2 by N1. N1 by N2, here it will be N2 by N1 into I2. No square in current and voltage. Square will be with reactance, resistance and impedance. So V2 dash will be N1 by N2 V2. Are you getting it? So in case of resistance, reactance and impedance, it will be N1 by N2 whole square. Here in case of voltage, it will be N1 by N2. But in case of current, it will be N2 by N1. Okay. So this way now we can say there is a direct, these primary and secondary, we are representing it by an electrical connection directly. So now if we are given V1, we are given ZL, we are given R1, X1, X0, R0, XM, X2, R2. So then we can calculate V2, we can calculate I2, we can calculate I1, and we can calculate V1 as well. Okay. So this is the equivalent circuit referred to primary. Now what let's do, let's refer the primary circuit on the secondary side. Means no, we will refer this primary secondary circuit on the secondary side. So if we are, let me write it, equivalent circuit referred to secondary. No, equivalent circuit referred to secondary. Equivalent circuit refer to secondary. No, I am referring primary circuit towards secondary. So at that time, secondary circuit will remain as it is. It will not change. Means it's X0 or not. It's ZL, V2 and V1 will remain same. This is ZL. This is R2, J times X2. This is V2. This is I2. It will remain same. But now these R1, X1, X0, XM, I0, I1 and V1, they will change. So first of all, let me draw the circuit completely. So this is R0 will be R0 dash, JXM will be JXM dash, I0 will be I0 dash. Okay. So here I have resistance and reactance, and here I have the voltage. It is V1 dash now, it is R1 dash now, it is JX1 dash now, and the current here it is I1 dash. Okay. Now when I am referring the primary to the secondary side, so secondary circuit, it will remain as it is. There will be no change. However, this dash sign will come with all the quantities on the primary side. Okay. So remember, while for resistance, impedance and reactance, while on we are referring secondary on the primary side, it was N1 by N2 square. So however, if we are now referring primary on the secondary, it will be primary will be multiplied by N2 by N1 whole square. So it will be R1 dash will be nothing but N2 by N1 whole square R1. This will be J N2 by N1 whole square X1. I1 will be N1 by N2. It is N2 by N1. It will be N1 by N2 into I1. V1 will be N2 by N1, but no square term for V1 and I1 into V1. So this R0 dash, it will be R0 dash will be represented by N2 by N1 whole square R naught, and this xm term, it will be represented by j n2 by n1 whole square xm, and I naught will be again n1 by n2 into I naught. Okay, though it looks difficult, but it is easy. You have just to take the turns ratio. You only have to take the turns ratio into consideration. So for resistance, reactance and impedance, you will use the square. For this current you will, and voltage, you will not use the square. But keep it mind, when you will refer the secondary circuit to the primary side, you will write n2 by n1, n1 by n2 for resistance, reactance, impedance and voltage. However, n1 by n2 square will be used for reactance, resistance and impedance. For voltage, it will be simply n1 by n2. Okay, and the opposite happens in case of when the this primary is referred to the secondary side. So look, what is the advantage here? Because once we are given any quantity, suppose I am giving V1 and I am given the V2, V1 and V2, suppose it is given to me, okay, or turns ratio is given to me, I can calculate all the other quantities. I can calculate this I naught, I can calculate what was the voltage here. Voltage here was E1. Okay, I can calculate E1, I can calculate I1, I can calculate I naught, I2, I can calculate all the other quantities. So let us solve one problem here. I am saying suppose I have a transformer. Okay, suppose I have a transformer. Suppose I have a transformer, and here the impedance is a resistor, load impedance is a resistor, and I have a supply, AC supply here, and the parameters that are given to me, that it is a 230 215 volt transformer. If I am saying it is a 230 by 115 volt transformer, means ratio, what will be the ratio? N1 is to N2, it will be 2:1, means obviously on which side the number of turns will be more, that's on that side the voltage will be more. So the turns ratio will be 2:1. So I am saying the, and the resistance, load resistance is how much? 3.75 ohm. Okay, now what is the other data that is available? I'm saying I have a 230 by 115 volt transformer. Okay, so obviously the ratio N1 by N2 will be 2:1, because this is twice the voltage of this. Okay, so load is 3.71, and the other data, R1 is 0.75 ohm, X1 is 0.8 ohm, R0 is 600 ohm, XM is 300 ohm. Okay, and this is on the primary. On the secondary side, we have X2 is equal to 0.15 ohm, R2 is equal to 0.125 ohm. No, we have what we have to calculate. We have to calculate I1, we have to calculate I2, and we have to calculate V2. Okay, we have to calculate I1, I2 and V2. Got it? Let us first, though I have solved this question myself, but still you guys will solve it at your home. I have made all the calculations with this hand. So what I will do, I will draw the equivalent circuit referred to the, when the secondary is referred to the primary side. Okay, so when the secondary is referred to the primary side, means the circuit will look like, let me draw it like this, because it will look more, because I need more length of the page here. So when the secondary is referred to the primary, means primary will remain as it is. So primary, if it is at it is, I have a primary source here, it is 230 angle 0 volts. Okay, then I have a primary resistance, then a primary reactance. Okay, then I have the core component, this is my loss component R0, this is magnetizing component. Okay, R0 is how much? It is 600. I will write it like this, it is 600 ohm, and this is J 300 ohm. R1 is 0.75, X1 is 0.82. Okay, So then I have the secondary reactance and the secondary resistance and the secondary load. So the secondary, here the current is I1, here the current is I0. What is the voltage at this point? I told you it is E1, that is the induced voltage in the primary side. So what was my secondary reactance? Secondary reactance was X2 was 0.15. Okay, 0.15 but multiply by 4. Okay, okay. Now here I am saying it is the current, here my current is I2 dash and here the voltage is V2 dash and here the load resistance is R2 dash. So it is RL dash R2 dash JX2 dash. So what is R2 dash? Let me show you the equivalent circuit. So if you will see what is your R2 dash, it is N1 by N2 whole square R2. N1 by N2. What is N1? N1 was 2 and N1 was 1. So N1 by N2 means 2 by 1 whole square. It will be 2 by 1 whole square. And what was R1? R1 was 0.125. So X2 was N2 by N1 whole square multiplied by 0.15. 0.15. So if I will solve, it will become J 0.6. It will become and this will become 0.5 ohm. Okay, after solving this. So RL will be again 4 multiplied by R dash. RL was 3.75 multiplied by 3.75. So RL is coming out as 15 ohm. So V2 dash. Okay, I2 dash. So if you will look, suppose I am saying this is X and this is X dash. So what I have to calculate? I have to calculate V2, I have to calculate I2, I have to calculate I1, I have to calculate E1. Okay. So for solving this circuit, so we will apply Thevenin theorem. Okay. So I am saying for solving the circuit, because we have a voltage source. Okay. If we have a voltage source, then we can use Thevenin theorem. If we will have a current source, it is better to use Norton's theorem. So we have a current source, we will use Thevenin theorem. So for solving such circuit, we use Thevenin theorem. Okay, Thevenin theorem across terminals X dash. This is X, this is X dash across the primary, means this is primary, this is secondary. So we are using Thevenin here. So tell me what will be the Thevenin equivalent voltage? How will you calculate the Thevenin equivalent voltage? So firstly, you remove the load. Okay, you remove the load means you across the X dash, you will remove the secondary circuit. Okay, if you will remove the secondary circuit, your circuit will become like this. Okay, like this. Means your circuit will become look like this. Okay, so you will remove the secondary circuit. So XX dash, it will be an open circuit across XS dash if you will remove the secondary circuit. So what will be the Thevenin equivalent voltage? It will be the voltage across the terminal XX dash. So I am saying VTH, Thevenin voltage, is the voltage across XX dash when secondary circuit is removed. Okay, so when secondary circuit is removed, okay, it will be VTH. At that time, VTH will be the drop across this branch. Okay, drop across this branch. So what will be the drop across this branch? So we are saying, let me again draw this circuit, Thevenin equivalent circuit. Firstly, it will become like this. So this is my X. So I have a source here. It is 230 angle 0. So this is X dash. This is 600 and this is J 300. This is J 0.82. It is 0.75. Here current is I1. Okay. So tell me, when I am reviewing the circuit, the voltage across these two terminals, it is VTH. Okay, so what will be the value of the VTH here? What will the value of the VTH? So VTH will be nothing. Suppose I am representing current here simply by current I. Okay, or I1, keep it I1, not a problem. So I am saying this current I am saying this VTH will be nothing but, what is the voltage? What is the total impedance of the circuit? Total impedance of the circuit is nothing but this resistance plus this reactance plus parallel combination of these two. Okay, so if I will divide the voltage with this total impedance, I will get the current. So VTH will be 230 angle 0 divided by the total impedance. It will be 0.75 plus j 0.82. Okay, plus 600 parallel 300j. Okay, this term will give me the current that is flowing in this circuit, but I don't want the current. I am interested in calculate VTH. So VTH is nothing but the current that is flowing, which is given by this which is given by this term, 230 angle 0 divided by this, multiplied by this impedance of these two parallel branches. So this is the current multiplied by the impedance. Impedance is 600 plus 300 j. It will give me the value of VTH. Okay, if you will solve this, your VTH will come out equal to 230 angle 0. This 600, this is 600 parallel, not plus. 600 parallel 300 j, it will be 120 plus 240 j. So it will be 0.75 plus j 0.82 multiply by 120 plus 240 j. Okay, so if you will solve this, you will get VTH equal to, this was page number 767. You get VTH equal to 229 angle 0.06 degree, or in this is in polar, and in rectangular form you will get 229 plus 0.2428 j. Got it? So this is your VTH. Now let us calculate ZTH. What was ZTH? Here circuit, what is ZTH? So for calculating ZTH, what you do, you remove all the voltage and current sources. How will you remove the voltage sources? By replacing it by a short circuit. If you will replace this voltage source by a short circuit here, the circuit will become like this. So we have to calculate next ZTH. So for ZTH, I will write for ZTH short the voltage, supply voltage. So it will become like this. So this, if you will look from this end, it will be ZTH. This is X dash. It is 600. It is J 300. It is 0.75. It is J 0.82. So what will be ZTH? ZTH will be nothing but these two branches are in parallel. So it will be 600 parallel 300j. It will be the impedance of this branch. Parallel 0.75 plus 0.82j. Okay. So you know that 600 parallel 300j, I solved it. This is 120 plus 240j parallel 0.75 plus 0.82j. Got it? So ZTH will be equal to, in polar form, 1.106 angle 47.62. Now you have VTH, you have ZTH. Got it? You have VTH, you have ZTH. So let us draw the Thevenin equivalent circuit for the transformer. It will become VTH. This is ZTH. So this is my ZTH. This is my VTH. What was the secondary reactance? Secondary reactance was J 0.6. J 0.6, and secondary resistance was referred to the primary was 0.5, and the secondary load referred to the primary was 15 ohm. This was V2 dash. This is I2 dash, and this is my X, and this is my x dash. So look here, what is the voltage across x dash in the original circuit? It is E1. Okay, I can write that voltage across x dash, it is nothing but E1. Okay, so I know VTH, I know ZTH. Can I calculate I2 dash? What is I2 dash? What is I2 dash? I2 dash is nothing but VTH divided by ZTH plus 0.6J plus 0.5 plus 15. Okay, once you know what is VTH, you know ZTH, you calculated it. If you will substitute the value, you will get I2 is equal to 14.02 angle minus 4.92. Got it? So you know what is I2 dash. Can you calculate V2 dash? Easily, V2 dash is nothing but I2 dash multiplied by 15, that is drop across the 15 ohm resistor. So if you will solve this V2 dash into I2 dash, your V2 dash was I2 dash was 14.02 angle minus 4.92 multiplied by 15. Okay, so you will get answer as 210.64 angle minus 4.92. This is your V2 dash. So you get the voltage across the secondary, refer to voltage across the second load, refer to the primary, and voltage in the secondary circuit, refer to the primary. Okay, so but what is our aim? Our aim is to calculate the secondary voltage and current. So you know what is V2. Can you calculate V2 in terms of V2 dash? You know that you have calculated V2 dash. So you know that V2 dash equal to N1 by N2 into V2. Okay, in the equivalent circuit I showed you. So V2 will be nothing but V2 dash into N2 by N1. What is V2 dash? Your V2 dash we calculated, it is 210.64. 210.64 angle is minus 4.92 divided by multiplied by N2 is 1 and N1 is 2. Okay, so what is your V2 coming out? It is coming out to be 105.32 angle minus 4.92. You calculated V2 dash. Now let us calculate the E1. What is E1? E1 is nothing but I1 multiplied by this whole impedance. So what is E1 is nothing but I2 dash multiplied by this is I2 dash multiplied by the whole impedance, this on this side. So E1 will be I2 dash multiplied by, it is 15.5 plus 0.6J. So you are getting E1 as, you know the value of I2 dash, you will get E1 as let us substitute the value of I2 as 14.02 angle minus 4.92 multiplied by 15.5 plus 0.6J. So you are getting E1 equal to 217.47 angle minus 2.7 degree itna volt. This is your value of E1. So once you know the value of E1, can you calculate the current I1? Sorry, I1, we don't need to calculate I1, because if you will see this circuit here, where is the original circuit? Yes, here. So I calculated I2 dash. Okay, I calculated E1. Okay, what is I1? If you will see, I1 is nothing but I2 dash plus I0. So I calculated E1 because I want to calculate I0. Because once I calculated I0, then only I can calculate I1, because I1 is nothing but I0 plus I2 dash. Simply apply KCL. If you will apply KCL at this point, you will see that I1 is nothing but I0 plus I2 dash. So I2 dash I calculated. So for calculating I0, I calculated E1. Now from E1 I will calculate I0. So how I will calculate it? I will show you here. So you know that I0, if we will see circuit, so you know the drop across these two terminals, it is E1, and you know the impedance of this circuit. Can you calculate the current in this circuit? Simply I0 is nothing but E1 divided by the impedance. What is impedance? Impedance is nothing, 600 plus 600 parallel 300J. Okay, it is the impedance. So I0 is nothing but E1 divided by 600 parallel 300J. Okay, so it is coming out to be 0.81 angle minus 66.13 degree amperes. Now I have calculated the value of I naught and I know the value of I2 dash. So I can take the summation of these two, algebraic summation of these two, and I will get I1. Okay, so what is I1? Primary current. It is I naught plus I2 dash. So I1 is equal to I naught 0.81 angle minus 66.13 plus what is I2 dash? 14.02 angle minus 4.92. So your I1 is coming out as 14.42 angle minus 7.74 degree amperes. Calculate the value of I1 because I calculated, I have a dot. Is it right or wrong? 0.81 shift angle minus 66.13 plus 14.02 shift angle minus 4.92. It is coming out 14.29. It's coming out to be 14.29, and imaginary component imaginary component is 1.19. Now I will convert it into polar form. It is coming out 14.42 and the angle is coming out to be minus 7.740. Okay, 7.740 degree ampere. So look how we proceeded. Firstly, what we did, we referred the whole circuit towards the primary side. We calculated X2 dash, R2 dash, I2 dash, V2 dash and ZL dash. Though we don't know the value of I2 dash and V2 dash in advance. So firstly we converted load ZL into ZL dash and R2 into R2 dash and X2 into X2 dash. Okay, from that we got this circuit. Okay, so we know this circuit. So we also know that this circuit can be replaced by a Thevenin equivalent circuits. Okay, so what we are doing, we are removing the secondary. Okay, and we are calculating the Thevenin equivalent voltage across these terminals. Okay, open circuit terminals. So if we are removing the secondary, my circuit is becoming like this. So this is my VTH, and once I remove the source, so I calculated the VTH. VTH is nothing but this voltage divided by the whole impedance multiplied by the impedance of this branch. Okay, total voltage divided by the whole impedance of the circuit. Okay, it is actually giving me the current that is flowing in this circuit multiplied by the impedance of this branch. It is giving me VTH. Okay, this is total voltage divided by the impedance of the whole circuit multiplied the impedance of the branch, this branch. So it is giving me the VTH. So once I calculated VTH, after that I have to draw the Thevenin equivalent circuit. So I am removing the source. Means replacing since it is a voltage source, I will replace it by a voltage this short circuit, and I am calculating ZTH. Okay, ZTH is nothing but this plus this parallel this combination of these two. Okay, so it is coming out this. Now then I am drawing the Thevenin equivalent circuit, VTH, ZTH in series with the load impedance. This is the secondary impedance. Okay, so easy to calculate I2 dash. Simply VTH divided by the whole impedance. It is giving me I2 dash. Then E1. It is easy to calculate V2 dash. V2 dash is nothing but I2 dash into 15, and E1 is nothing but I2 dash into this impedance. Okay, so I calculated I2 dash, I calculated E1. Now I will calculate I naught. I naught is nothing but E1 divided by the impedance of this branch. Then I calculated I1, which is nothing but I naught plus I2 dash. I naught plus I2 dash. So this is how you solve a numerical for a transformer. So that is all for today's lecture. Thank you very much. So at 2 p.m. today I will take your this interaction class. Thank you very much.